I know we do a lot of talking about the damage that an absent father can cause in a child's life. Can an absent mother cause equal amount of damage?
Equal amount of damage. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We talk about how the father's there to establish identity. Well, the mother is there typically to establish those feelings, those emotions, the nurturing side of you, the understanding side of you. And so if you don't have a balance between the identity of knowing who you are, the security of knowing who you are, and then the emotional side of who you are, then there can be some dysfunction there.
How does what have you seen in your clients? What would you call your individual clients? Have you seen trauma from parents, specifically from the mother?
Yes. And the mother can be right there in the home. It could be lack of conversation. It could be the mother was controlling, and you didn't know that the mother was controlling. You just thought that the mother cared a lot about you. I've seen jealousy between a mother and a child, or the mother being jealous of the other parent or the significant other, the partner.
Pause right there, Doc. Is that a real thing?
Oh, God, it is.
A mother can be jealous of a daughter.
Yes, a mother can be jealous of a daughter. A father can be jealous of a son. Because of the attention that the partner gives to that individual or that child. I did a study during my master's, and it was a group therapy session where I brought mothers from all over together. So they were married, single, they may have had a partner in the home or whatever, but they had their children as well. And the number of individuals that broke down because I asked that specific question: are you jealous of your child because of the attention that your husband or your boyfriend gives to that child? And they answered yes.
And so the children were how old?
Children started from new birth till, I mean, their adult life, because that was the affection that either they never got from their parents. It could have been the attention, the intimacy that they never got. It could have just been, why are you showing so much love to this child? You're neglecting me. We're not spending enough time together. But it could, the age range was extensive.
So a mother can be jealous of a 10-year-old daughter.
Yes.
And a mother can be jealous of a 30-year-old daughter.
Yes.
And what are some of the signs of jealousy with a mom towards a daughter?
The mother is always comparing herself to the daughter. Another sign could be the mother is always in conflict with the partner about the child.
About the daughter,
yes.
Yeah.
Another sign could be the mother is always criticizing the child. You never do this, or you're always doing this. It's always something wrong, where the child is always trying to prove, but the dad is accepting, or the dad is teaching, the child how to maneuver. Another sign could be where the mother is showing no emotion towards the child because of that jealousy.
Because of jealousy. Mm-hmm. So no interaction, no affirmation, no spending time, no connection.
No bonding, none of that.
Okay, so I want to get into this. My first question is, what did you all need from your mother that you didn't receive? What are some of the things that you say as an adult? As an adult, you have the ability to look back and think critically and objectively, and say, hey, no, I was missing some things, and I missed this particular thing from my mom. What would that be? They whisper.
that. That's not funny.
Go for it. That thing that got you, did it? Chris, go for it. You got it.
No way we laughing about that. That's not even funny. That's not right.
I already told y'all. I prepared y'all for it.
Barely.
Yeah.
You right. Yesterday and my eyes got big. Yeah. It's like therapy.
His preparation is different.
Right.
It's like, hey, we're gonna do this. That's it.
Right.
No, nothing.
It's fine.
There wasn't enough prep.
It's fine.
But for me, I would probably say presence may have been the thing that I was missing. My mom, she worked very hard. I'm grateful for that, but she would have 18-hour work days. So it's almost like I was responsible for myself. And then you add a sibling to that. So I'm responsible now for myself and my sibling. So now I feel like my childhood is ripped away because you weren't there. Of course, my dad wasn't there at the time either. So it's almost like I was robbed of being a child. So I did have to grow up early. I had to mature faster than the normal person, and I was just missing that interaction. So maybe out of a week I would see my mom maybe one day. So.
And what effect did that have on you?
Yeah, so I think emotionally I was missing a lot of things. I never experienced that emotion. And another factor is that my family, they're not American. They're from the Caribbean. So that's another thing. When I look at other people's family dynamic, I'm like, wow, your family is really nice. Y'all are loving. My family's not like that. We have a completely different dynamic. So even things like saying I love you, I learned that from my friends. Like in college, I would be like, you say I love you to your parents every time you get off the phone? That's weird. But I learned that was normal. You're supposed to say things like that. So now I just try to make it a habit of doing that with my friends, doing it with people that I do love so that I'm not really numb in that area. So, yeah, and in relationships, it was hard too because I just didn't have that experience. I didn't have it. So I loved the way I knew how, which was in the right way.
And so have you improved in the way that you love now, or you're still learning some things? And if you are still learning some things, how have you damaged relationships because of the lack of connection that you had with your mom?
Absolutely. So in my previous relationship, I would complain about some of the things my mom did. And he told me, he said, you know, a lot of the things that you complain about your mom about, you do it too. Like, you act just like her. And I was like, no. I couldn't believe it. But one day I had to sit down and I thought about it like, wow, I do act just like my mom. Like, even when I moved out of her home, I was living with my dad, there were still things that followed from her, you know. So that was definitely an adjustment, and it did ruin a lot of things for me. And then the age that mattered, I was with my dad. So a lot of things I picked up from the man perspective. So a lot of times I would hear like, you act like like you act like a man. And I'm like, do I act like a man? But because I was missing that emotional part from my mom and then being with my dad, I just demonstrated what I knew. So
that emotional connection to a male, you missed that because mom didn't teach you those nurturing and those feeling connections that really moms are responsible for teaching.
Yeah, so it was like affection. I was missing that. I wanted some money. I wanted to work. And then I almost felt like there wasn't room to be successful and in a relationship. I always felt like you had to choose. You can have one or you can have the other. But now I'm starting to learn you can have both. And then there are ways to show your emotion. And even down to communication. I sucked with communication because I didn't have to communicate with anyone. I lived my own life. I ran my own life. So adjusting there was even difficult. And it's something I'm still navigating through.
When you say you lived your own life, you ran your own life, were there elements of your life where you raised yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was riding the train early, riding the bus early. I was taking myself to school, taking myself to my own activities. I was skipping school in middle school, like going to the beach. I was doing a lot of things. Like I was out
Go to the beach in middle school?
Yeah.
They have beaches in New York.
Yeah, y'all got beaches?
Oh, we got Coney Island, y'all. We got Manhattan.
Okay, I got you.
Coney Island.
But yeah, I would do a lot of things. So things that people were doing in college, I had already did that in middle school and high school. I had been living an adult life for a long time. So yeah.
Chris, that's Great transparency, Des. Chris, what's the thing that you said that you would say at your age, this is the one thing that I missed from my mom?
I would say it's a lot similar to Des, like that nurturing part, I think. And my situation was slightly different because I had a woman in the house, but I was so angry I didn't listen to her. Like, I didn't want to hear anything she had to say. I'm like, you're not my mom. I don't want to talk to you. You know, so I literally, my dad was the only one who could raise me. He was the only one. Nobody else could. I would get in trouble in school. She'll say, I'm calling your dad. Or I would do something. She'll say, because she couldn't do it. I would not listen to her. And my dad was a truck driver back then, so he was never home, you know. So I spent most of my time with my stepmom. But I would say the main thing would be nurturing. And then, you know, relationships. I used to get the same thing. You're very disconnected. You know, you don't show emotion. You know, I cut people off easily. Like my dad, but I got that from my dad was just straightforward. Say what you want to say. This is how it's gonna be. This is how it is, and that's just how I got all of my personality, everything from him. You know, so I think the nurturing part was the biggest part though that I was missing, and just how to be a woman. You know,
Talk about that a little bit.
I think now that I think about it, God sent me a lot of friends, and their mothers sort of helped raise me. So at first I was like, my mama wasn't there, and I'm like, no, God sent you people. You know, He even sent you your stepmom. Of course, that relationship didn't develop until I got older, but I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends. I was popular in middle school, high school, so all of their mothers helped raise me. So taking me to the nail salon, like those small things, you know. Now my dad didn't play about my hair, and I would get my hair done every 2 weeks. But you know, like clothes. I had one of my friends, her mom, she said, no, baby, you wear stuff that fits your shape. I used to wear like baggy clothes in like high school, you know, and sneakers. I love sneakers, things like that. And she was like, no, sweetie, we're going to go shopping, you know, and she would take me shopping. But I was more receptive to those types of people versus my stepmom, you know. So just things, how to take care of yourself. I learned that stuff through books. You know, my aunts were in Chicago. My family was in Chicago, most of them at the time, and my aunts would send me things, you know, how to develop as a teenager. Like I would sit in the bathroom and read the books, you know, personal things that happened. I would do that. I would learn that on my own. And not that my mom wouldn't want to teach me, but, you know, she wasn't there, you know, so I would fly to see her, but she wasn't.
Why do you think she wasn't there?
I just think now that I'm older, just life, you know, my mom, her and her mom had a horrible relationship. Like horrible relationship. They did not get along. My mom and her mom, my grandmother made her stay with her father. So she lived with her father growing up too. And their relationship didn't get better until she was in her 40s, like 40s. So that, imagine that, you know. So I think my mom, she knew, you know, she should have been there, but I think just life, you know, and then you're used to what you know. You know, my mom and my granddad have a very close relationship, similar to me and my father. So, you know, I think that's just what it is. You know, I don't think it was on purpose. At the time I did, but now I'm like, oh, that's life. You know, you don't know. She was young. My mom has three daughters. All of us were raised by our fathers, except for my oldest daughter. My oldest. No.
Really?
No, my oldest sister. She was raised by my grandmother. Her dad passed away when she was younger, but yeah, all of us were raised by our dads. So, you know, I think it's just, and I think as my mom has gotten older, she's more open to saying, like, you know, I wish I would have kept you all, you know, but that's just not how it happens. So,
well, did the lack of that connection, did it affect your confidence as a woman while being around other women?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. What? Yes.
How?
It did. Because, you know, even seeing my friends with their moms, at first, you know, young, you don't even realize that it bothers you until you get older. So when I got dropped off at college, oh my gosh, I cried for the entire week. Cause I'm like, I see people with their moms, like they sitting up there. Y'all, my room looked like this table. My dad was like, you got a microwave? You got a refrigerator? Y'all know how college dorm looks. Yeah. I was like, and I thought that was normal until I met people. And I was like, dang, you got furry blankets. And because men aren't thinking about that. Men are like, you got water, you got food, have a good life. Yes. Like my dad literally did that and was like, you good, we gone. I'm like, y'all about to leave right now? Like, you know, he was like, you gonna be good, you straight. You know, it's like that tough love thing. But I used to, at the time I said, yeah, it was jealousy, but it was innocent, you know, because I didn't have it. So I was just like, well, why they got their mama, you know, doing it? People would call their moms, and I noticed I built friendships off of that too. Some friendships, people who had strong relationships with their mothers kind of took me in a way, even in college. Now that I think about it, you know, their mothers were like my mom was like, you know, that's my daughter, that's, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, I think there a void, you know, it was a void until I got older and I came to church, and that's when things kind of started to shift a little bit. Like, and I had to apologize to my stepmom, like, I'm so sorry.
Why did you apologize to her?
Because I was mean and angry, and I gave her a hard time. Ooh, I gave her a hard time. I got convicted in our car, and she cried, and you know, she was like, thank you, you know, and now she calls me every hour. I mean, she probably calling right now. She called me every day, you know, like.
Chris, I want to ask you one more question because of some of the things you're saying. Your stepmother, in comparison to your biological mother, I notice you say this a lot. My stepmother is going to call me all the time.
Yeah.
How do you navigate through, well, let me ask this question. How often does your biological mother call you, check on you, whatever?
Not often.
And so how do you navigate through my stepmother is calling me, but my natural mother is not? What's you're saved, sanctified, full of the Holy Ghost. You are, watch this, gonna mess you up, a successful African-American woman.
I had to get myself.
You're successful.
Yeah.
But what's the day-to-day thought process knowing that my blood doesn't call me, but someone that's not my blood calls and checks on me? What's that process?
Well, I would say, number one, I'm saved. Can we say that again? Because, you know, I'm saved. So I think, you know, that and life experiences have helped me understand that, you know, that is my mom, but some things may not always be rebuilt how they should be. And although we've tried, you know, but it hasn't worked. But I'm not angry about it. You know, I'm just like, it's the way my life is set up, and that's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. When I talk to my mom, we talk like we didn't talk every day. And when we see each other, we have a good time. You know, but I think...
how did you get to that place of wholeness, though?
Calling you, Pastor. Crying. Y'all didn't worry Pastor to death. But, yeah, I think just community and people, you know, and then growing up, you know, we make mistakes. People make mistakes, and that's okay. I cannot, as a 32-year-old woman, I can't say I'm still mad because when you was 26 and you divorced my dad, you didn't take. That's crazy. You know, my mom could leave this earth right now, and I don't want to live with that anger and that regret, you know. So I've just gotten to a place like, I love you. That's my mama. The Bible says, honor your parents. So I'm going to do that, you know, and I'm going to be true to that. But I don't hold anything because I know things happen. You know, things happen.
That's amazing. Lynn, I want to ask you, what was your context like between you and your mom? And I'm closer to your mom than I am with them. Your mom, you know, is a part of the community that raised my sister and I. specifically in the faith and the church, what was your context like? What was the connection like?
Yes, sir. So my dynamic was a little bit different. My mom became ill at a very young age for me, and so I became responsible for everything. And the reason why I became responsible for everything, I had a 2-parent household. So my dad and my mom, they were present, but my dad suffered with alcoholism. And so he was functioning, though. My daddy was a functioning alcoholic. I'm proud of my father. My father was in the military. He served at a Marine base. He worked at the Marine base for over 40-something years. And so my dad provided for our house. And my mom was the backbone for the house. But when she became ill, that backbone broke because of, her presence. And so through her illness, she tried to be present as much as she could. She was there physically, but what I believe I struggled with now in my adult age, I'm realizing I didn't have that emotional support. And the reason why I didn't have that emotional support is because she didn't know how to, number one, deal with what her trauma or her illness was. And then number two, I don't believe, because there was dysfunction with her and her mom, she didn't know how to secure that emotional support with me and
With
her.
you.
Yes. And so growing up, what I felt was the lack of communication. I felt the lack of emotional support. And all of this stuff, y'all, I'm not just saying it. We're now having conversations about this, me and my mom,
Yep.
because I'm realizing that, dang, mama, you ain't do this, and why you didn't do this, and we'll just start talking about different things. And I believe that we were close. We are close, but I believe it was from one dynamic. Like I said, she was very, very supportive. I don't care what I did. My mama was there, but it was the communication.
So she was cold-blooded present.
Yes, present. Yes.
But affirmation, talking,
Yeah.
the intimacy.
I would say more of the intimacy, because she would affirm me as
Okay,
well. She
okay.
would encourage me. She would push me. But it was that tough love as well. Like, girl, stop crying. You fine. You'll be able to do it. I need you to do this, this, and this. So it wasn't, I didn't have a lot of moments of soaking and crying on her shoulder. It was, listen, I need for you to do this. You will be fine. Get out there and do it. Instead of, hey, what's going on? How can I help? How can we navigate through this together? It was more of, I'm pushing you out there. Fly. You'll be all right.
You said something. You said we're having the conversation. You said you and your mom you're starting to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. How do you have the conversation about areas of lack? How do you have that conversation with a parent? Mm-hmm. One of the things that, it's difficult for parents to hear, especially difficult. And I think one of the things that they do is it's almost like it's like, as long as especially Black parents, as long as I provide it, you shouldn't have a complaint.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's what Black parents gonna lean on every single time. You can be 50 years old, a 50-year-old child of a parent, and you'll say, hey, you didn't listen to me. If you don't shut your mouth,
that's right.
You wouldn't have had no shoes if I didn't.
The same lips.
Yeah,
Right. I brought you this.
Yeah, but you still didn't listen when I was here, So how do you have the conversation with African American parents and help them navigate through provision, and then and still present to them discrepancies and dysfunctions that you experienced growing up?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm gonna say this first. I think school, being a believer and loving Jesus helped. Okay, because I learned how to specifically pray for God to give me the words to say, because my family dynamic, like, okay, I'm gonna say this without being just, they're very defensive.
No,
Okay,
enjoy yourself. Be a little bit more.
So if you say something, it's like you punching them in the face. So they gonna come back with, some knives, a gun, and all of these things, because they feel like you attacking them.
Like,
And so-
this is where Lynn, y'all think Lynn is quiet.
I am.
Lynn is not quiet.
Come on.
I have had to tell Lynn,
We on TV.
I know. I've had to tell Lynn, we be on the phone and I'll be like, Lynn, stop hollering.
Do I yell on the phone with y'all?
She don't yell with me.
It's the silence, though.
Listen, when Lynn gets, yes, she does. When Lynn gets passionate, I say, Lynn, what happened with A, B, C, and D? And she'll start off with, this is an inside joke. She'll start off by saying, she said, well, first of all, the voice.
That's
When
all
the
right.
last time I used
That's
but
all right.
Listen, Bishop
The
used that
voice.
on Sunday. I said I'm about to bring it back. The voice. Yes.
Bishop
Honor the
used it.
voice. Yes, he
He
did.
said
Yes, he did.
Dr. Lynn was prophetic.
See what I'm saying?
Don't walk around calling.
voice.
Don't say that.
The voice. We need one voice. One voice.
But he didn't. He never looked at me and said, "Voice."
But you know
Voice.
who he was talking about. Too many voices.
Lynn has deep language. Lynn has church deep kingdom language, right?
I like to
I
say
love it.
poetic.
So okay, so she has the language of Solomon. So we'll be on the phone, right? And I say, Lynn, what happened with ABC and D? And she'll start off in this tone, well, apostles, so forth, so forth. And then all of a sudden, and I was like, and we can't. I'm like, Lynn, lower your voice.
I'm hollering.
And then she reminded me that years ago, I told her, I said, stop hollering. That's not ladylike. Get this though. We just had this conversation 2 weeks ago. And I didn't know that the reason she hollered like that is because that was the climate of her house. So get this. She didn't know she was hollering.
Yeah.
And if you were to tell her, hey, that's disrespectful or I'm offended, she wouldn't have remembered the hollering. So that was the climate. So I wanted to highlight that because you said it was.
Yeah.
You said bombs, so it wasn't literal bombs and knives.
You felt like it.
Daggers now.
You're not. My God.
So
Between my mom and my daddy. Oh God.
Oh, so it was a lot of.
Yeah.
And that was normal.
It was so crazy, and me and my brother, we talk about this to this day. We didn't ever think we were going to be as close as we are.
You and your brother.
Me and my younger brother.
Early.
Yes,
Yeah.
early. Shout out to man. All right. Early. But what we saw in the house was, so that's how we grew up, like, and we would just walk away. Like it wasn't, I'm sorry, I won't say that to you no more. We would, okay, I'll see you in the morning, or hey, what we about to eat? You gonna take me over here to the store? There was no reconciliation, no restoration, nothing. It was just fussing, and then we
Move on
about our day.
Yeah.
And that was normal. That was normal. But it wasn't until our adult life where we started saying, wait a minute now, wait. I'm still feeling this. Why am I still feeling this way? And so we started, talking about it and addressing it. But my family dynamic, all the way to my grandmother and on my dad's side, my mom's side, they are defensive people. And so if you bring something to their attention, they're going to react first and then calm down and ask questions later.
Last question. It is tough. Moving to some deep stuff. Y'all didn't feel emotional? Did you? Were you fighting it?
Just a tad.
I'm cool.
When this mic over, don't start crying.
Yeah.
Because I can see it now.
Wow.
What are you still angry about?
That's good. That's good.
We're gonna go after this show. What are you still angry about?
I don't know if angry is the right word. Maybe hurt. That would probably be better. But my mom, there's 4 of us from her, and I see the relationship between her and my siblings is very different than with me. And my sister came down to Atlanta. She was here for maybe 2 weeks. And every single day she talked to my mom. Every single day they talked on the phone for hours. And I probably talk to my mom like twice a year. So that shocked me. Like, y'all talk all the time? Like, when something happens, my mom is the first person she wants to call. Like, that really blew my mind to know that you can have that type of relationship with them, but with me it's different. And it makes me feel like, why is it different? Like, what's the reason? And, I was just the first child, and I think that just comes with the territory. You're the first person. There's no handbook on how to raise a child. You don't know. And it's like I had to grow up a little bit and consider the factors. My mom was 23 when she had me. When I was 23, I couldn't imagine having a child. Then you go ahead and tie in another person, the dynamic that she had with my dad. They were engaged. There was infidelity there. They had another child, and you up and left. So you're stuck with 2 children now. You don't have a man. I could imagine that can make you bitter a little bit, And then you send me away. I became better, and you didn't have a part in my betterness.
Yeah.
And I think that affects her, even, to this day. So I think that in a way she kind of has resentment towards me. And
Resentment or jealousy?
I don't want to call it jealousy. That's kind of hard to say. But, in a way. And yeah, I think it's just difficult for her to process sometimes.
Did Christianity make the relationship better or worse?
Better in my affections, but not better outwardly, if that makes sense. Like, I give her grace because now I understand. I have a better understanding towards it. But it didn't change our dynamic. We're still the same. So, yeah. And now I'm just able to identify things. So I may learn something in church and I'm like, that's that spirit. Or, I'm able to just pick it up. And now I'm like, okay, well, I understand it in that way. But now I have to choose how I'm going to address it, if I want to address it, if it's worth me addressing, if I'm willing to take the steps to go there. Like, because I may have a different perspective, but you may still see things the same. So even me addressing it, that doesn't change your response towards me and what revelation I receive. So even that's difficult. But yeah, I would say maybe that, and then the lack of support. I've done a lot of things, and I can count on my hand since I moved to Atlanta how many times my mom has been to Atlanta. Literally twice, actually. And those were for both of my graduations. That was it. Not once did you come to see how I'm living, what my life is like, how I've adjusted, what life was like for me with my dad. It was almost like you sent me here and that was it. It was over from then. So, it's difficult to swallow sometimes. And sometimes I do want it to be different, but I just don't know if pursuing it is worth it at this moment. So, yeah.
That's courageous, man. That's courageous. Chris, what are you still angry about?
Yeah, I would say it's the same, like not angry but hurt that you're still not trying. That kind of pisses me off. I ain't gonna lie. I just said I wasn't angry, but that kind of pisses me off because we talk more on Instagram than we do like on the phone. Like my mom, she gonna comment and DM, and she has that same dynamic with my older sister. Like they're like every day when she comes to Atlanta, she visits her. That's where she stays. They hang out. When she came for her birthday. They planned it together. So, I think for me, I had to get over parent-daughter and just say both adults at this point. You get what I'm saying? Like, instead of thinking like a child, like a little girl wants the mom to do everything, but a woman will say, well, we're both adults. Am I going to try just as much as I want her to try? So I think I've been a little upset that she doesn't try like I think she should, number one. And number two, I've had to just come to grips with, if it's going to change, I'm going to have to change it. because my mom is in her 50s. Child, she, you know, I'm the one with the knowledge now. I'm the one with the, you know, I'm in the environment to know what to do, how to do it. So it's going to be on me. But I think that for me, you still don't try in my mind, as a mom should, you know. But, you know, you just got to kind of navigate that. But yeah, and I know she raised my sister more, you know, so that is going to be different too. You know, I've been with my dad since I was 4, literally. So yeah.
Lynn.
What's the question?
That's deep stuff, man.
It is.
That's deep, dog. That's deep stuff, dog. We'll come back
Mama,
tomorrow.
I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back tomorrow.
Just love you, mama.
Yeah. Welcome to Band with y'all. See you tomorrow.